The Simpsons is a show that characterized Disney as an overly litigious company who would do anything to squeeze out just one more dollar of profit. They implied its founder was a shady man with questionable morals who exploited others way more creative than him. And that their parks are boring, out-of-touch kitsch. In 2019, Disney purchased 21st Century Fox, and by extension, now owns The Simpsons. Well, this is awkward. Sorry we implied all that stuff about your founder and made fun of your brand in general. You're not an evil corporation, we were just joking around. It's been 6 years since the purchase, and I feel we've got a sense of what the Disney era of The Simpsons looks like by now. How Disney wants to market this brand as part of their portfolio. But that created a tricky situation for the show itself. How does The Simpsons deal with a pop culture juggernaut like Disney now? Is it possible to poke fun at them while being a part of the brand? Is that something their corporate overlords even want them to do? Today, we're looking at The Simpsons Disney dilemma. What they've done in the past, what they're doing today, and what the heck they can do about this in the future. And, fitting for such a multifaceted corporation, let's break down The Simpsons coverage one division at a time. Okay, so we're starting with the messiest category from a world-building perspective, as The Simpsons said a lot of stuff about Disney parks over the years, albeit in many different forms. You see, in the world of Springfield, there's a corporation called Disney that runs Disneyland that is not affiliated with the Disney and Disneyland we know. I hope you can hear the Z in my pronunciation. Anyway, Grandpa's bored by Disneyland in Season 2. However, they visit Duff Gardens in Season 4, seemingly a Busch Gardens homage. But this place is full of Disney references, a crappy Hall of Presidents, the Seven Duffs, and an electric parade. Their version of It's a Small World is an intensely annoying ride that drives Lisa to drugs. Itchy and Scratchy Land from Season 6, although more of a Westworld homage, also contains Disney elements, like TGI McScratchies, which mirrors Pleasure Island's New Year's Eve gimmick. In Season 14, they visit Epcot Center, a park that none of the Simpsons want to go to, full of crappy anachronistic robots from a future that never was. It's so bad that Homer tries escaping at the end of the episode. To be fair, he's trying to escape to the Magic Kingdom, but still. It's clear the Simpsons writers are not big fans of Epcot and its World Showcase. They hate California Adventure as well, as the Simpsons would instead rather vacation at a prison. Homer even dunks on its poor attendance numbers the following year. I feel like this joke has aged poorly, as California Adventure is actually kind of fun now. But yeah, at the time, it was definitely a huge debacle, and the Simpsons jumped on it. Reminds me a lot of the Euro Itchy and Scratchy Land joke, another problem for Disney at the time. In Season 26, the Simpsons actually went to Disneyland proper, parking in the Ethnic Princess lot. Disneyland is the land of $7 pretzels and $25 pacifier rentals. More agonizingly boring kiddie rides that punish you for trying to exit early. A Cosmic War brand awkwardly integrated into the park, with them cheaping out on the costuming despite dropping $4 billion on the acquisition. A politically correct Pirates ride that even Lisa is baffled by. Yet another futuristic land filled with crappy robots. Oh, and don't forget about the Cool Zone, where they murder people and take back their overpriced merch. This is a reference to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You know, you can really tell that the writers are based out of California because they always parody and name drop Disneyland instead of Disney World. Like, remember Bart on the Road, where the boys choose to go to Knoxville instead of Disneyland? Or how one Cypress Creek Redwood can cover the vomit at Disneyland for one day? And how the classic era ends with a Disneyland fakeout from Homer and Marge. Wally Kogan tells this guy he's heard nothing but bad things about Disneyland. Later in the series, Gina pushed Snow White over the parapet at Disneyland. The German tourists retreat to Disneyland to heap the scorn on Goofy. And little Kent Brockman lost his childhood innocence and brown hair due to a run-in with a cast member there. I would guess this happened at Disneyland too. The only Disney World reference I can think of was this earlier one, as well as that season 30 gag where they're laying ground for Family Guy World. Nice cutaway joke. I feel like all these theme park references suggest a West Coast Springfield, as no one east of the Mississippi thinks of Disneyland first. But that's neither here nor there. It's clear with these jokes that The Simpsons isn't always dunking on the Disney parks, and is often used as a pop culture frame of reference. They exist, let's acknowledge them. But still, it's clear that overall, The Simpsons hasn't been kind to the Disney parks. From the point of view of The Simpsons, they are overpriced mismatches of brand synergy full of rides for babies. Universal would never. Here we have the friendliest category of Disney references. Generally speaking, The Simpsons doesn't have too many problems with Disney films from over the years. Obviously, they are some of the cornerstones of animation history, so of course, the Simpsons staff will show some reverence for their work. And by reverence, I mean twisted parodies that murder beloved characters. For example, Mary Poppins is transformed into the story of a depressed, ineffectual nanny who ultimately gets sucked into a jet engine. Homer eats all the friendly crustaceans from The Little Mermaid. Steamboat Itchy is more of an asshole than Steamboat Willie, but just slightly. Oh, speaking of these two, the Broadway adaptation of The Lion King is now a bloody, itchy and scratchy musical. In The Simpsons Snow White parody, the witch is gruesomely mauled to death, and Snow White never wakes up because she doesn't need no man. Oh look, it's a charming and whimsical Bambi homage. And he's dead. Oh look, it's another charming and whimsical Bambi homage. Now Thumper's dead. But at least Bambi's family made it this time. Even when they're not poking fun at the original film itself, like this Beauty and the Beast number, it's transformed into being about murdering puppies as part of their 101 Dalmatians parody. Cruella would murder puppies, but was classy enough to never sing about it. By far, The Simpsons' favorite Disney film is Lady and the Tramp. They frickin' love Lady and the Tramp. They just can't help themselves. In season 19, they literally do an entire anthology segment parodying it. Pretty straightforward adaptation overall. Like, it's full of gross dog jokes, female dog wordplay, and the dysfunctional Homer-Marge relationship. Pretty tamed compared to what they did to Sherry Bobbins. But they did send Goofy to the gas chamber in this, so I guess there's that. But the real reason Lady and the Tramp is their number one favorite is because of how much they go for that famous spaghetti scene. We've got Homer and Mindy's chili dog, Santa's little helper and She's the Fastest, Burns and Gloria, as part of the kiss montage and stealing first base. They even get it into the background of a Disney Plus short. I get why they go for this one a lot, but I'm starting to get nervous every time spaghetti appears on screen. The Simpsons have gone after Pixar a few times over the years. Season 20 treated us to parodies of two of their best films, in my humble opinion. First, a post-apocalyptic WALL-E homage, where Homer gets crushed into a cube. And a few episodes later, Ratatouille, with the rats running the kitchen and controlling Homer. He declares their efforts good, not great, and goes to get rat poison. In season 27, we get Inside Out in Homer's head. Worst jammed-in parody ever. In Treehouse of Horror 31, they followed up this one-off joke with a surprisingly disturbing parody of Toy Story. Not disturbing for all the toys Bart destroys, but for how they murder him. The segment ends with Marge weeping over her lifeless plastic son. This is almost as disturbing as the Cars universe, according to Milhouse. Actually, yeah, good point. Why do they have teeth? The Simpsons' most snarky Pixar dig, by far, was in Angry Dad the Movie in season 22. Mixar feels no sense of camaraderie with their fellow nominees, immediately dragging out Randy Newman to sing You've Got an Enemy. Here comes Wally and Mr. Carrot Head. As for Mixar's creative output itself, The Simpsons portrays it as formulaic schlock, just a what if condiments had feelings adventure, full of awful puns, and an inevitable syrupy ending. Methinks The Simpsons was still salty about their Oscar snub. Now, to be fair, not every Disney animation homage is full of twisted imagery or cynical digs at the company. Like with this Aladdin parody, it's merely the backdrop for jokes about Homer's fear of the Middle East. They're almost embarrassed about doing this schlocky Frozen parody, and this couch gag was presented as the obligatory Frozen reference. In fact, they even brought in Eric Goldberg for this lovingly lavish couch gag, referencing several famous films. You can't say The Simpsons doesn't have a genuine reverence for Disney's output when seeing something like this. As for their live-action stuff, we don't get a ton of that, since Star Wars and Marvel were acquired in the back half of The Simpsons run. It wouldn't make sense to include all their Cosmic Wars Episode 1 digs. Closest we get is in Season 25, when Homer pirates Episode 7, A New Take. The crawl says Episodes 1 through 3 never happened, and everyone cheers. Most of their MCU coverage came in the form of Season 31's Bart the Bad Guy, with a pretty direct Avengers Infinity War parody. According to The Simpsons, these movies are full of tedious, funny but not too funny banter, nonsense villain motivations, and a manipulative cliffhanger designed to drive everyone crazy. Yeah, not exactly the most unique digs at the MCU. But this episode did capture the cultural zeitgeist of the time, when general audiences paid to see movies about even their C-list superheroes. That cultural zeitgeist thing is obviously a big part of why The Simpsons does film references and parodies in general, not just Disney. We all know these, why not play around with them? With Disney, though, the constant theme is poking a hole in their fantasy world. The Simpsons views Disney's output as too idyllic, too removed from the horrors of our real world. They're a company that will retreat into safe, formulaic fare that doesn't challenge the audience in any meaningful way. Once again, you never get the sense that the Simpsons writers hate Disney's work or are trying to be disrespectful toward its production staff. It's more that Disney films are pretty corny and the Simpsons want to razz them. I would imagine Disney likes most of these homages, as twisted as some of them are. Like I said, this is the friendliest category for a reason. Unfortunately, the time for friendship is over. Now, let's talk about how the mouse operates. Most love their movies, but most hate how they go about things. And The Simpsons had a lot to say about that. Let's start with the legal angle. Early in the series, The Simpsons loved making fun of their litigiousness, with famous news stories of them going after daycares and whatnot for using their trademarks. As early as Season 3, you had a bum describing Disney shutting down his Mickey Mouse massage parlor. The blue-haired lawyer going after Springfield Elementary for using the happiest place on earth. The blue-haired lawyer telling Homer he can't use A flat or G natural because Disney owns them. The Simpsons characterize Disney as this ever-growing corporate blob, consuming every company around them in the pursuit of profit. Most famously in this joke from the PTA disbands, where they're even buying up historical properties and jacking up the prices to schools. In that awful clip show, Lisa observes, "Romance is dead. It was acquired in a hostile takeover by Hallmark and Disney, homogenized and sold off, piece by piece." Mind you, they were saying this in 1994. My god. In Season 10, we get this 20th Century Fox banner, one of their more eerie predictions. By Season 30, there is a Google-Disney corporate monopoly. This is how far we've come. In that MCU parody episode, the studio executives have this self-importance about them that they are an essential part of our working society. They argue that if the next superhero movie bombs, it will wreck the entire economy. Given how things today are going, maybe they had a point. Even in smaller storylines, like Bart's novelty t-shirt business, it gets sold off to Disney, who plans on turning each shirt into a movie. The Simpsons have been cynical about how Disney markets existing stories. Lisa remarks that every time they add a wise-talking parrot to a story, now Disney thinks they own it. And it's kind of working too, as Bart seems to think that they invented The Little Mermaid, along with Spider-Man and Star Wars. Of course, the actual inventions of Walt Disney himself should be put under scrutiny, according to The Simpsons. Although The Day the Violence Died does not directly reference Walt, the premise mirrors the dispute over the creation of Mickey Mouse with UB Iwerks. Roger Myers Sr. is treated as the Walt Disney stand-in on The Simpsons. They characterize him as a lousy artist who just stole Lampwick's design. His head is even cryogenically frozen, much like that urban legend. The Simpsons really liked going after Walt. Like in Itchy and Scratchy Land, they had that bit about Roger Myers Sr.'s controversial film admiring German supermen during World War II. Like, they hate Walt Disney so much that they straight up say he has the 1 in 2 million evil gene. This is a series that literally had Bart calling Mickey Mouse the mascot of an evil corporation. It doesn't get much more pointed than that. It's clear that The Simpsons had sharp criticism for how Disney operates, and explicitly called them out on it. Unlike their parodies, you can't call any of these jokes mere references. In these instances, they were going out of their way to poke the bear, criticize these business practices. The Simpsons' general philosophy was mostly a poke fun at Disney's output, call them out as a corporation, which in my opinion was generally a good approach. Disney has made plenty of questionable decisions, and it was important for TV shows like The Simpsons to satirize them. That being said, things get weird when you have joined that quote-unquote evil corporation. So, now that Disney owns The Simpsons, how have things changed in this regard? Did they stop making fun of them? Around seasons 30 through 32, when the deal was getting completed, you can definitely feel the commentary shift slightly, in that there was more of a personal angle to it, as The Simpsons imagines what this new relationship will be like. For example, in their season 30 anthology, Lisa sets up her Buddhism story as the princess not affiliated with Disney, unless we are now owned by Disney. Similar joke as before, but now you can feel the walls caving in through the dialogue. Or the show will question what they can do going forward. In season 31, Selma asks Patty if she has a cigarette, to which she replies, "Not since we moved to Disney," and they both put on mouse ears. In Bart the Bad Guy that same year, they definitely get their jabs in at the MCU, even setting up a Disney bomb at the end. But at the same time, are having the Russo brothers appear as guest stars. You can feel the marriage of the brands coming together. By season 34's Lisa the Boy Scout, their Disney integration has become a core part of the story, that these two hacked into the Disney servers and are directly threatening them. They'll delete Baby Yoda and Baby Groot and Baby Jeff Goldblum. The joke has changed from "Isn't it funny Disney is buying everything?" to "Isn't it funny Disney owns us?" which does have a slightly different connotation. The joke is more about your situation now. By and large, The Simpsons TV show has mostly stopped criticizing Disney as a corporation. There are really two major examples I can think of in the past few years. In their season 31 Treehouse of Horror, during the transition period, they have Mickey Mouse as the Mark of the Beast. Alright, that's pretty good, very classic Simpsons. But probably the craziest one is in Bart's in Jail in season 33. At the end of the episode, the trickster god Loki transforms into Mickey Mouse, declares he's going to add more blackout days to Disneyland annual passes, and calls them all suckers as he departs. This is actually pretty crazy that they're able to do this. Disney is very protective of Mickey Mouse. I am just picturing some studio note argument right now that this joke is okay because it's Loki and not actually Mickey. But who knows? The biggest recent development has been in the production of the Disney Plus exclusive shorts. Many of these are specifically designed as crossover events, like The Simpsons meeting Star Wars, the MCU, the Disney Villain Club, Star Wars again, or all their various characters. Now, to be fair, these shorts do have playful jabs toward the mouse, signs saying this is what happens when Disney buys Marvel and Fox, jokes about Disney stockholders and stock prices, Loki contractual obligations, or how terrible Disney princes are. Rogue Not Quite One opens with a Disney Self-Congratulation 100 banner. Well, as long as Disney was congratulating themselves, general audiences certainly weren't that year. That being said, even with these sarcastic Simpsons quips in here, these Disney Plus crossover shorts are mostly garbage. They are soulless corporate synergy to the highest degree. The best one is probably The Force Awakens from its nap, and even that one feels like they're going down a Star Wars checklist. The main goal is often to just jam in as many recognizable characters in here, or let the Simpsons play dress up for a couple minutes. It says basically nothing about the actual properties. No commentary, no satire, no character insights. They're just empty references. Like, consider Plusiversary, the most uneven of these things. It actually starts out okay, with Homer and Goofy bonding over beers. There is something fun about seeing what their character dynamic is like. Wow, it's a fresh new take on Goofy. Neat. We also have plenty of other characters just hanging out getting wasted, another funny approach. But then Lisa shows up to sing her song celebrating Disney Plus, and it is the worst thing ever. I'm serious. This song is so bad it makes the Musk Who Fell to Earth look like Homer at the bat. It's such horseshit. And I don't want to hear the "it's meant to be sarcastic" argument when Lisa's systematically glazing every movie character in the room. It kind of feels like Disney is actively humiliating The Simpsons by making them sing and dance for them like this. Obviously, we as fans have to acknowledge that The Simpsons have always been a deeply commercial brand. I once said that The Simpsons is not Calvin and Hobbes, and it bears repeating again. The Simpsons is not Calvin and Hobbes. This was never about maintaining the artistic purity of these characters. We love the creative artistry of the Simpsons staff, and that is what makes us fans. But The Simpsons has always been a puppet for corporations chasing the almighty Aller. It would be silly for Disney to not be leveraging this brand to do crossovers and create marketing opportunities. Corporations are gonna corporation, let's just be real here. But I think they should worry about neutering the brand. Say what you want about Fox, but they were incredibly good sports about The Simpsons writers making fun of them. They trashed the Fox network constantly in the classic era, and we all loved it. They literally had Rupert Murdoch guest star and introduce himself as the billionaire tyrant. I don't know precisely what kind of creative input Disney has over The Simpsons today, whether they have given them specific directives. To their credit, showrunner Al Jean said that he worked with Bob Iger in the past when working on The Critic, who was a very good sport about this kind of stuff. So it's very possible that Disney is taking a hands-off approach and letting The Simpsons do whatever they want. Oh, you want Mickey to make fun of Disneyland blackout days? Sure, go for it. I want to make it clear that I'm not saying Disney is actively censoring The Simpsons, because I'm not privy to the internal politics. For all I know, everything is exactly the same as before, like during the Fox days. What I am arguing, however, is that it is even more important than ever for The Simpsons to make fun of Disney. The show has to deal with the stank of being part of the brand. When you're doing all these crossover events, it's easy for the public to view The Simpsons cynically, as corporate shills for the mouse. The Simpsons has to take a page out of their years at Fox, and keep making snarky jokes and critiques. Like sure, you're never gonna get Bart calling them an evil corporation again. But if Marvel is in its flop era, The Simpsons should be making fun of it. As Disney World keeps dicking around with their FastPass system, The Simpsons should comment on it. Do meta jokes where Disney won't allow them to do their original ending. Stuff like that. Like last year, they did an elaborate Robin Hood homage that was very stylish and charming. But unlike Sherry Bobbins or See My Vest, there wasn't any twisted Simpsons spin to it. It was just Marge and Smithers as furries, paying tribute to a beloved film. We get the reference, enjoy the animation, and that's about it. There's no there. Basically, The Simpsons needs to be meaner today. We live in a world of constant giant corporate mergers where these conglomerations have more and more control over their messaging in the media. So we desperately need comedies like The Simpsons and Family Guy and South Park to satirize them. It's an essential part of The Simpsons ethos. They literally had a weenie like Skinner kicking the shit out of a Disney representative. I can't imagine this kind of joke being done today. If The Simpsons isn't making fun of mega corporations like Disney anymore, like, what are we even doing here? In recent years, they have criticized shady ghost kitchens and self-interested non-profits. Modern Simpsons still has some edge, they just shouldn't be treating Disney with kid gloves. Honestly, it's a win-win for Disney too, since they will look like the cool owners who can laugh at themselves. I just feel like the Simpsons Disney situation is really weird right now. given their history and how they're being integrated into the brand. Going forward, I do hope The Simpsons can find that Disney edge again, and we can all have a good laugh at whatever they're satirizing. At the very least, please fix the Disney Plus crossover shorts. More of this, less of this.